What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Believers Bench right here on Game Day Grace. And today on the bench, it's me, Cory, and you, wherever you are listening, whether that be YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you being a bench warmer with us. If you are not a bench warmer and you just want to sit down, get inspiration, get some strategies, fellowship with other believers in the sports world, go ahead and hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you are listening, whether that is Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts. We've had a wonderful group of people sit down on this bench with us, and we've got a great group coming up. But there are some things that just kind of pop up out of nowhere to like here in Florida where we have this tropical storm coming through. And so this sports reporter, I'm going to be thrust into a hurricane coverage duty tomorrow, actually. So
you did a great job last time.
Which is, I think that's what I did wrong. I was too great. You should have seen the smile on my assistant news director's face when I got the assignment. She can't. I have never seen her smile like that, cheesing ear to ear. She said, "I am so excited for you to be on coverage with us." And for you to do what you did last time, it was so good. It was energetic and it was entertaining. And I'm like, it ain't supposed to be entertaining.
No,
you know what I'm saying? I ain't come out. You know what I mean? That's not what it is. Because that's just, I don't know. The dude wanted to jump in a live hurricane. That can't help you. So yeah, that's it. Y'all don't even do anything like that in Texas, though. I guess maybe tornadoes. I don't know.
Nah, bro. Like we have, like in Houston, you got some hurricane coverage, but in Austin, nah, bro, we don't get no type of severe weather other than like that ice storm. That's when we had to really buckle down. But even with that, sports ain't doing nothing with that. Like, yeah, news reporters and meteorologists got to handle all that, bro. We are just either photogs only, or there's no sports that day. And you got to figure it out. So, yeah, we're not out there doing reports in the middle of a storm. So, good job, bro. I'm glad you made a good impression.
It's not actually part of the job. It's not part of my job. But
it's not your job description at all.
Tomorrow, it will be my job. So
you got anything planned?
What do you mean anything planned?
I mean, I'm like, in your bag, your riding bag yet? I don't know if you.
Here's the key. Here's the key to doing storm coverage. If you're a sports reporter and you're doing storm coverage, this is all you need to know. Okay? Get the microphone, look around, observe, and call exactly what you see. That's it. That's all I got to do. And we do that in sports all the time. Imagine post-game, y'all just won the national championship or the Super Bowl, whatever, and it's you and your photog, and they go, "Here we go." And the producer in your ear says, "Go." Yeah. And now it's you and a camera and you're live. Okay, look around, see what's going on, tell people what's up, tell people what you already know, some of the institutional knowledge that you've built up throughout the day or throughout the night. If somebody comes by, see if you can talk to them right quick. Quick little 1-2 questions, dismiss them, you on your way. There you go. That's all you got to do. That is the one day where TV really is like that episode of Drake and Josh when they was like, "Oh, what's TV?" You remember when they was doing the Theater Thug one? The Theater Thug, and he said, "What's TV? You show up, you say some stuff, you leave." Which is like, "Oh, what's TV? You just show up and say some stuff and you leave." Storm coverage is the only day where you really show up, you say some stuff and you leave. Everything else about local news is nothing like that. Mm-mm. But if you're a sports person doing hurricane coverage, that's literally the day where you show up, you say some stuff, and you leave. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
That's all. That's all. No, everything I said in my hurricane coverage last month, I did not write. I didn't write any of that. That was off the dome.
Off the dome. That's why he's great, y'all. I don't understand.
It just happened.
I don't think y'all understand how good David is at his job. Like he's really good, man. Off the dome is crazy.
I got somebody's name wrong yesterday. Baseball highlights. So I straight up called this dude.
Perfect. Nobody perfect.
Nah, we not. I called this dude by the name of a player that's not even on the team no more. In fact, I think they traded him for him. Was the thing.
No way.
I called him by the name of the dude they traded to get him to Tampa Bay.
Hey, it'd be like that though.
Yeah.
It'd be like that. On the other day on the broadcast, we were talking about the Panthers, and I said Greg Tepper instead of David Tepper. I don't know if you know who Greg Tepper is. So Greg Tepper, he's like one of the guys that works for the Dave Campbell high school football here in Texas. Like he's one of like the top guys over there. But I was just reading a tweet from him. Yeah. Some high school football tweet. And so we were talking about Tepper. I thought Greg. But clearly it's David. So like, yeah, bro. That happens to us a lot. I mean, at least for me, like I get names mixed up all the time. Cause there's a lot of names out there that have the same last name and the same first name.
Yeah, like, it's a lot of names out there, and sometimes the names. Now, guess what? You put a hard name, I don't get the hard names wrong.
No, yeah, facts.
I say DJ Uyangalale like it's nothing. But here go a regular name. His name is Jake Gensel. I'm like Josh. Like I'm tripping. Like, who is this? Oh, that's Tua Tagovailoa. Who is that? DJ Uyangalale. Who is that? Josh. Like, no, his name's Jake. Oh, my bad.
My bad. My brain capacity just can't fit everybody in
like,
there,
I had it. Yeah. That's all it is. And, big ups to the general manager and all the other general managers in those markets where there are hurricanes, because you have to balance that budget in order to do that. And so there are some times where it's like, hey, we can only send so many people to this conference. We got to make sure we stay under budget, because a situation like this could happen to where, for our station specifically, we actually have to pick up our stuff and move to another building to broadcast, because our building, I think, is either it's at sea level, below sea level, or whatever it is. There's like a bay right behind our parking lot, and when you get storm surge, the parking lot floods. And it's just not a good situation. So what they do is they put up different barricades in front of the doors, and they shut all the windows and everything like that. So that way the newsroom and the studio don't flood, but the parking lot is like the first thing to flood when storms like this happen. So we have to move and broadcast in a whole other building. It's much smaller. I don't know how the technology really is in there. I've actually never been in there. And then they actually have, I think the number was 28 cots. So people are spending the night in this building. Like, it gets serious, bro. Like,
you talked about the budget.
Joke. Yeah.
And, I think about that too, like the emergency funds, and how do they manage to save enough money where that if this does come about, then you have money to pay for people to be in hotels and stuff like that. But then it's also like, if you don't have that throughout the year, then you just kind of wasted that savings. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's interesting, and it's a game they probably have to play, all managers have to play, when it comes to how do you budget for this year, knowing that it could be a hurricane, or it could be a tropical storm, or there's no guarantees, and we may have just not spent money that year when we should have. So yeah, that's why I'm not a manager. I don't want that job.
I'm not in management.
Yeah, I don't want that job. I don't want that job at all.
That's what's funny, man. I was man, I've had this conversation a couple of times, man. Somebody's actually, they said, man, if your old station offered you the sports director position, would you go back? I said, no. I think the sports director position, I don't want to call it the worst, but I think the sports director position is one of the toughest positions in a newsroom, especially in those smaller to middle, mid-major type markets. Like, that's like the toughest position, because first of all, it's a managerial position. So you have all the managerial duties, and a lot of sports departments are still understaffed. So that means you end up doing MMJ stuff as a manager. You are MMJing as a manager, and you still got managerial duties, and it's the only manager position in the newsroom where you are expected to work on weekends. So
yeah. And sometimes Friday nights too, depending on the market.
Depending on the market.
You're doing high school football.
Because look, if you're, shout out to Jeff Jones, but if you're in Austin, Texas, right? You're in Austin, Texas. You're in Knoxville, Tennessee. You're in Gainesville, Florida. You're in Athens, Georgia. Norman, Oklahoma. Don't matter. Guess what you doing on Friday night? High school football. And guess what you got to do on Saturday? Get up and do that college game.
Yeah.
That's what you gonna do.
It's a crazy turnaround.
That's a crazy turnaround,
and your off days are split.
Your off days are probably split. My sports director, shout out to EC Evan Klosky. I've never seen this dude halfway do anything. That dude works. That dude works so hard, bro. He works 6 days a week during football season. 6.
He got a wife and kid?
He has a wife. He has a wife and a dog, just like me. We both have. So I got married in April. He got married in May.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So we had to ping pong that PTO. That was.
Oh, I can imagine.
Boy. Oh my goodness.
Honeymoon.
Oh man, yeah. He was gone, bro. He was, and I was out on him too. I said, my brother, deuces. Yeah. I left for like 2 weeks.
Do not contact me.
Man, I came back, dapped him up. He said, congratulations. Now it's my turn. And he was gone for 2 weeks.
I was having that conversation yesterday, bro. Someone in our Bible study was talking about his wife would need prayer because she's very sick, and so they were like, "Have you been to the hospital yet?" And they're like, "Yeah, we probably should go pretty soon." And I was like, "Look, good thing you asked that question because I ain't pulling to no hospital growing up, bro. It's get some Robitussin and hope that you wake up healthy. Like literally, there is no hospital in sight." In the household I grew up in, so
yeah, just go ahead and lay down, man. Lay down. We'll throw on a couple of TV shows and movies and things like that, and you should be all right. We'll
check your temperature every hour, see if it's getting better.
Definitely prayers for your friend's wife too, as she's battling illness. That's it's not always easy. And one thing I've actually, speaking of prayer, there's one thing I've learned going through this Bible study that I'm a part of with all these different people that are in this like a sports profession. So if you are I forget what they call it, like a professional sports employee or something like that, there's a Bible study that we do on Fridays, and the guy that leads it says he has on the youth football team that he coaches, each week he picks a family to pray for, and then he texts them, and then he asks, "Hey, what's your prayer request?" And he says that has really helped spread the gospel to different families. Because first of all, you don't know what these folks believe.
Yeah, thanks.
And so when you ask for like a prayer request or anything like that, man, sometimes they'll give it to you, man. They might be on the fence, and it came right on time. So I actually tried that. I texted. That was the homework assignment we got. He said you need to either pray with this person in person, like face to face, or you need to call them, let them know that you're praying for them, or text them the specific prayer that you prayed. And I said, all right, let me try that. So I actually tried it. I did it like twice, and the responses have been tremendous. And you really don't know what people are dealing with or going through. And when we talk about, hey, sometimes we're the only Bible people ever read, that's it right there. Like that's one of the examples. So if anybody want to try something out, text. Don't text somebody, "I'm praying for you." Actually text out like, "This is the prayer I just prayed," verbatim, and then type that text out so they know exactly what you prayed, and you might be surprised at the results.
Who would you pray for?
So I prayed for my homeboy Zay. Okay. And then I got convicted by the Holy Spirit because I did something, or I said something that was like more so like, all right, that was my flesh acting out. So he said, you know what you need to do? You need to not text that person. No, and like pray for them and text them the prayer. And I was like, dang, for real? Yes. Okay. Because what I said wasn't necessarily nice, whatever frustration or whatever it is. He said, how about you pray for him? And then now you're going to have, now text him that prayer. Okay. Just being obedient. So, yeah, bro.
But you got good responses.
Both times, yes.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
And you said that was your first time doing that?
Yeah, I've never done that before.
Yeah, I've never even heard of like texting. So how did you remember did you like do voice notes? That's what I'm thinking. Like, how did you remember what you prayed?
So what I did was I said, okay, same prayer I always pray before my sportscast. I just asked the Holy Spirit, hey, think through my mind, speak to my vocal cords. I want to pray for so-and-so. And then your heart, you just let them kind of guide your heart in towards like, hey, like pray for this and this right here. And then boom. So it's usually about 3 things. So it's like just a generic one. Hey, this person might be dealing with some anger. I pray for that. They might be dealing with doubt. So I pray for that. And I pray for breakthrough in whatever their struggles are. So, like 3 things like that. Then, because I just said it, so I remember what I said. I get my phone out and I just type, hey, this is the prayer that I prayed for you this week. And then what's really powerful, make sure you put their name in it. So my homeboy Zay, I'm like, Zay.
Yeah.
So now his name is in it. His name is in the prayer, and now he knows, like, oh, now he was praying for me. He didn't just make a generic prayer up for the friends. He was like, no, this is my prayer for you specifically. It was catered to whatever you're dealing with, and I made sure the king now knows about it.
That's dope.
Yeah.
This makes me like think of a topic of conversation that we were talking about in Bible study last night, and I posed a question to the group, and I guess I posed a question to you now. Because I feel like, you were talking about struggles, and we're talking about like when people may need prayer and maybe going through things. And, we're going through Romans right now, and we went over Romans 5 last night, and just talking about how being able to persevere through like times of suffering, and then suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. But, I posed a question to our group about, what if people who are in that suffering that may not believe in Christ, or even believers, how do we carry ourselves as believers in that time if there are friends and stuff like that? And I feel like the question I posed was, how do you balance, or how do you discern when someone may need scripture, or maybe when someone just needs your presence, right? And may not need to drown them with the gospel, but instead just know that you understand that you're hurting, right? Like, some people may not need that hope right when they hear that suffering words. And so I just want to ask you, like, how do you kind of balance when to bring in the gospel and when to kind of just be there for somebody as they're going through suffering, or maybe going through a tragic loss?
Yeah. So, okay. So first, let's go over the first thing you said. You said something about like someone who they're not a believer, but they're going through some suffering.
Yeah, it could be either situation.
So so whether they're a believer or they're not, this is one of those situations where you are acting out the scriptures. My wife actually asked me a question, not on that specific topic of suffering, but she was like, how do you spread or how do you talk about Jesus, or share the gospel? I think was her question. How do you share the gospel with people who aren't believers? And I was like, with your actions. Because that, like, faith without works is dead means if you have the faith, it should be producing good works, not you should, you're working to build up grace. Like, that's not how it works. And so your works should be evidence of your faith. And so if you are a person of faith and you see someone suffering, right, this is the chance where that good fruit starts coming out, and you're, like you said, you're just there for them. Sometimes that's all it is. We could be in a situation where, we want to look at 1 Peter 3:15, like, I got to defend the faith. That's what I'm called to do. That's what it says in the Bible, right? But it also says right after that to make sure you do it with like gentleness and respect. And sometimes the best way to defend the gospel is to not walk away from that situation because, that's too dangerous for me. I can't be around this. You need to be smiling and happy for the Lord. Like, what? No, that's not even a thing, right? When Jesus went to the home of Lazarus, right? Lazarus is dead.
Yeah.
What did he do?
This story is crazy to me. This story is crazy to me. I mean, he raised him. But before he raised him, he wept.
The man wept.
It's just like
knowing he was
what he was about to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
He knew what he was about to do, right? But the first thing he did was he wept. Why? Because he's personable. Mm-hmm. So he mourned with Lazarus's family. Yeah, he knew he was about to perform a miracle. But before I do that, right? Before I show you my power, before I show you my before I show you the supernatural authority and ability that I have, right? Mm-hmm. And show you the deity that I am, let me be a human and just cry with you. Okay? that to me shows the order of how this thing goes. Someone's suffering through something. They just lost their job. Maybe they lost a family member. Maybe they even lost a pet. It could be something like that. We over here trying, well, did they know the Lord? Because if they did, you'll see him again. And it's like, yo, wait, slow down, slow down. The person, they just put the person to rest. Like
God has a purpose for you. The reason why you're still. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah, like slow down. How about you weep with them and you sit there and you mourn with them for a little bit. You grieve. You give them that space to grieve. You let them know that it's okay to be grieving. You acknowledge the fact that death is hard. Even if that person knew the Lord for real and they're in heaven, it still is hard.
And someone in our group mentioned, and I think this is something I've never done before, but I'm definitely going to start doing. She was like, shout out Jenny, by the way. Jenny said, it's okay to let people know that God hurts too. Like he hurts for you. He's seeing you cry. He's seeing you going through these things. He hates that too. He hates sin, of course. He hates that it has to happen. But he also just despises and mourns over what your pain is. And so I think that's also something that I'm going to start practicing and like bringing in God, but in a sense of like, bro, he feels your pain. And just like the story in Lazarus, like Jesus took the time to mourn. And then he did the miracle. And so I think sometimes some people just need to hear that someone's sitting in this mess with me, right? I'm not needing you to pull me out the mess because I don't want to leave the mess right now. I want to mourn. I want to sit here. But I would like to have someone with me in this. And so I think sometimes reminding people that God is with them throughout that time is helpful. And so that was cool for Jenny to mention because that's something I've never really done before. I've always been like, yeah, God's looking out for you, but like,
yeah.
Not necessarily like God is sad too with you right now. So yeah, I just thought that was cool.
Tell me a word or something that you heard in the past week, or it could be month, that you've been meditating on or chewing on throughout September or just this week.
I just think community, bro. Do not neglect to meet with one another. I think that's been something that's been big. I've gotten to this routine of just a routine of work, right? And like, okay, I got this to do, I got this to do, I got that to do. And there's been times where it's like, man, I don't feel like meeting up with this person, or I don't feel like going and fellowshipping right now. Like, I just need time to myself. And especially with our jobs, like, we talk to people every day. And sometimes people come up to us to talk. And I think sometimes, like, especially game days take so much out of me because, like, you're walking around where you have a lot of people that watch you. And so there's a lot of times it's just like you're stopping here, you're stopping there, you're saying hi here, you're saying hi there to these random people that you don't know, which I appreciate. I appreciate everybody that comes up to me and, like, wants to talk about how I do my job and how much they enjoy it. But, like, at the end of the day, I've noticed when I get home, I am drained, right? My social capacity is depleted. And so getting over that hurdle of, okay, you may not feel like you need to be around people, like-minded believers right now, but once you do it, I promise you'll see the fruit of it. And I think that's what I've been meditating on and applying is that, yes, I don't feel like going to this Bible study. I don't feel like meeting up with these people, but I know in my heart of hearts, once that hour is over, I'm going to be so appreciative of me getting out my apartment and going to meet up, because Scripture says it, do not neglect to meet one another, as is the habits of some. And I don't want it to become a habit. And so, yeah, that's been kind of the word that I've been meditating on.
It was crazy because that was before bedside Baptist even was a thing. There wasn't no church on the internet yet. And people have been neglecting to fellowship when that's very important. So, yeah, no, that's good, bro. That's a good one. Yeah, it's simple as that. And you got to surround yourself, right?
Yeah.
Surround yourself. And that's partly why this show exists, is so people can be more surrounded or have a better idea of who is surrounding them. Like the believers that are around them. They probably didn't even know that they had a believer right there on their favorite team, or in the sports office with them, wherever they are. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know. And now you have a larger fellowship just because somebody was bold enough to say something, and there you go. So, yeah, don't neglect. That's y'all word for this week. As we get into next week, we got a couple of guests lined up. But like I said, man, we there's a lot of different things that just pop up. Things just happen, y'all, and sometimes you got to reschedule and whatnot. Like I said, we have, which actually during this recording here on a Wednesday morning, Tropical Storm Helene turned into a hurricane. But pray for your boy as I go out there. Cory, how can people follow you and see Mose Knows?
Oh, you already know. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search Mose Knows. We got you on an episode every week, baby.
Easy. What day of the week? Is it set?
Thursdays. Yeah, we usually
Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Easy. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, Mose Knows. You already know where to be. All right. So this is when y'all get off the bench. Go over to Mose Knows. Y'all will be talking about sports. Yeah, get in the game. Y'all be talking about sports. Same thing out in life as well. As for me, if you live here in Tampa Bay, you can watch 10 Tampa Bay, the CBS station. I just dropped a pin. CBS station. If you tune in to 10 Tampa Bay via our station's app, or maybe you have, there's an app called News On, which allows you to watch most stations around the country. If you download that app or the 10 Tampa Bay app, you'll be able to see me do storm coverage. Will I necessarily enjoy it? No, because it's dangerous. But will I do it? Yeah.
Gotta keep a job.
Good soldiers follow orders. That's how I see it.
Obedience. We love it.
Good soldiers follow orders. That's all it is, y'all. But we've got two amazing guests that will be coming up in the next couple weeks or so. We're going to try to exactly figure it out. Actually, 3.
Yeah.
I forgot you got one on sitting in the queue as well. So we're working on 3 powerful people with 3 powerful testimonies, and I can't wait, to be honest with you, because if you thought Tom's last week,
Tom was dope, bro.
Yeah, if you thought Tom brought it, we just gonna keep on bringing it. These guests are gonna just keep on bringing these words in, and it's just gonna be power after power after power, experience after experience after experience, and just it's gonna be dope, y'all. So stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. Not just here on Game Day Grace, but on Mose Knows as well. I do have a gaming channel. I ain't doing nothing on that gaming channel right now. I don't even have a gaming monitor. My PS5 has been off for months, but once I'm back up, maybe I'll plug it. But until then, we will see y'all next Wednesday right here, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts on the Believer's Bench right here on Game Day Grace. Until then, y'all be easy and be blessed.